The Candidates is a town hall series which saw the presidential and vice presidential candidates of various political parties sit in conversation with Kadria Ahmed before a live studio audience and audiences in centers of higher learning across the 6 geopolitical zones in the country. In this episode, we bring you the reactions of the audience at the Social Democratic Party STP town hall meeting with their candidates Prince Adewole Adebayo and Malam Yusuf Buhari on Thursday the 17th of November 2022. To see more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel.
So Nigerians, in many ways, one can say, are spoiled for choice. Why should they choose you?
Well, it's quite easy because the voters are not supposed to look at the faces of the people running. They should look inward and look at the problems that they want to solve. So when it's like you wake up in the morning and you try to get to work, it doesn't matter how many people are in front of you. You want to look for your driver because you want to get to work. And just like in a bank, you want to catch a check. It doesn't matter how many people are in the banking hall. You want to go to the cashier to cash a check. And if you are sick, it doesn't matter how many people are around you, you focus on the doctor. You want to see the doctor. So for people in Nigeria who are trying to solve the problem of insecurity, who are trying to deal with poverty, who want infrastructure to work, who want to have a stable economy where you can have employment, who generally want to make progress and they want to run very good school system, the choices are very limited because from the 18, about 4 or so have been people who have been given opportunity in the past and they failed woefully. We have an understanding that this country has all the endowment that it needs. We also agree with Chino Achebe that leadership is the problem of Nigeria. And we also agree that the leadership will not change itself. It is the people who have to change the leadership. Now, we also agree that when you want to choose a leader, you will want to know whether the leader understands the problem of the country. And for me, there are 5 problems we need to deal with in this country. One is that we need to kick poverty out once and for all. At the same time, we need to get a hang on our security situation. We need to restore communities. We need to make sure that the law enforcement works for everyone. We need to see that public safety is important. Nobody fears the night and nobody worries about the day. We also need certain infrastructure, roads, telecommunication, electricity, very importantly, and other tools for our people to be able to live in 2022.
So we're live here at Coal City University, Enugu. I am a former Ajumobi, a broadcast journalist, and I want to say thank you for the platform and for the engagement that has happened here. It's been quite insightful and, of course, very important in this season where we are preparing for the elections in 2023. It's very important that we engage our candidates, and this is offering us that platform and opportunity. That's really amazing. Thank you to the whole team behind the candidates. Right now is when we engage with students of the Coal City University, Enugu, and they really do have more questions and are quite curious about what has happened so far. Now, my question will be, what are your thoughts on the candidates? If you listened very well, we had Adewole talk to us. He's a presidential candidate and he has said so many things. What are your thoughts about him?
My name is Solomon Agbo from the Department of Sociology. It has been a quiet session listening to the presidential candidate and the vice of Social Democratic Party, dissecting the manifesto and how prepared they are to lead Nigeria in the next 4 years after 2023 general election. But I listened to them keenly, but I have to say this, that I am not satisfied with their presentation, especially telling us what they have in stock in respect to their manifestos. Let's begin by saying that leadership is practical. It is not theoretical. Yes, it is important that they articulate what they have to do as manifestos. But I have listened to the presidential candidates and the vice without telling us what they have done in the past, how they did it, and how they are ready to implement those things they have told us in the manifestos. Because Nigeria has a lot of myriad challenges, and it is obvious that all the candidates will come out to tell us the same thing. We have been experiencing insecurity, education, agriculture, economy, and all that. But we must have to know how you are going to do this thing to achieve it. So Nigerians are like the great philosopher, the Socrates, who would like to ask why and how. And it is based on this why and how that I'm not satisfied with what they have done. I didn't hear them saying that this is what we've done before, this is how we are going to begin if you elect us as the president and the vice president of Nigeria. So I am not satisfied. I have to be truthful about that. Thank you.
Statement about providing 30 million jobs, 30 million employment opportunities for the youth. So I don't think that's a realistic approach, considering the fact that if you go through the manifesto, you are going to find out that he made every single word in that manifesto was referring to how they want to make Nigeria a better place for the youths in terms of joy realization. So promising the youths or promising Nigeria 30 million employment job opportunity without telling us how you want to make that possible is not a realistic approach for someone that is coming out for presidency. And he was making criticizing comments over the past government without telling us how he aims on improving his own presidential seats if he eventually becomes the president. He was only focused on trying to tell us that the past government did certain things without telling us how he wants to improve the present government. So that's my view on him.
So rating Prince Adewole, I would say it was a very unsatisfactory talk he gave. Because coming to the aspect of where they were like, what is going to happen about the ASU strike and how he's going to curtail it, he didn't give anything tangible, and it was his vice who responded. And I don't know if anyone was listening attentively, but what I could get was he was blaming everything on the SME, saying that they don't know the difference between revenue and their profits, that they tend to take everything. I don't know how that concerns how he will curtail the problem of ASU strike. And to end it up, he was saying something about building more hostels for the university. I don't see how that works out in helping the strike, because it's not a matter of finding accommodations for students. They can do that themselves. All they need is to get that education they came for. But what he gave was really unsatisfactory.
Actually, from what Mr. Adewole said, I'm not satisfied with what he said, because when the presenter asked him a question regarding what is his thoughts about the Southeast region, he almost snubbed the question, saying that the students even in the region did not say anything about what's happening in Southeast. He almost snubbed the question. Facing our country now mostly is the unification of this country, the unity of this country. But he didn't say anything about that, how he will solve that problem of trying to unify this country, to make this country one, something like that. But when he was asked about that, he didn't say anything about it. And even he said, even the people in the region did not talk about it. So why asking him about that? So I'm not satisfied about what he said at all about his speech. I'm not satisfied at all about it. And again, regarding the security of this nation, he will give us or tell us exactly what he would do about the security, how to secure this country. Because the security of this country and the unity of this country is #1 agenda of any president. And he didn't tell us what he would do to achieve such. So I'm not satisfied about what he said.
All right, thank you. We'll take more questions. Okay, plenty hands are really up right now. Okay, let's have from our brother here in the front.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
My name is Prince Adewole from the Department of Sociology. Okay, so according to what he said about the whole corruption stuff in Nigeria, I didn't think he really went to the whole stuff, because according to what he said, all he has been saying is the same thing the normal candidates have been bringing up. This is the same manifesto, infrastructure and area thing. There's nothing new. It's still the same old stuff, and they are not checking out the real stuff affecting us, like police brutality. These are most of the things that affect us in a very big way. He didn't even talk about that. I feel like he should have mentioned something about that, because it's also something that is provoking the Nigerian youths. Yeah, police brutality is much, and he didn't talk about that. So I wasn't really satisfied with what he said at all.
All right, thank you. We'll take a few more on that. What are your thoughts? But we would also want to know, did he say anything that made you happy at all? Did he? Let's hear what she has to say.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
My
evening.
name is Blessing Chimeze from the Department of Biochemistry. He actually said something that made me happy, but I don't think it's realistic. He said he believes in an economy that favors the masses 50-50 in terms of gender. So he said he believes in women as much as he believes in men. So that made me happy, but I don't think that's realistic. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're taking more on your thoughts. Please feel free from any angle at all. What are your thoughts on the candidate, Adewole Adebayo of the SDP party? Let's have him. Okay, that's Chimerem, right?
Hello. My name is Joshua Curtis from Department of Computer Science. One thing I like that he said is that he went around Nigeria and went to different places. And he also
different local governments.
Yeah, local governments and everything like Bielsa. But what I'm not happy with is the fact that he went to all these places and still did not get any solution. For instance, Bielsa, he said he went there and they prayed for him, right? But he didn't give any advice or solution to the flooding in Bielsa. Now, he also said that he was the person that did the alarm that the federal government is, that 80% of oil is being stolen by the federal government. Yes, he gave all of that. So how exactly are you going to recover the 80% of oil that has been stolen? He also did not say anything concerning that. He basically just pointed out, which I like about him, major problems, but he did not give any permanent solution to it.
Clear solution on how he was going to address that. And I think one of our questions was how he will utilize Nigeria's resources, especially the stolen ones that he said he would recover, we asked that question. All right, more on your thoughts on the candidates, please.
Thank you. My name is Chimeramu Mojinta from the Department of Maths and Computer Science. I think the problem with him is that he said a lot of general knowledge. Well, not general knowledge. He was very knowledgeable. So I could say in that aspect he spoke to me. But he never really hit key points on how he's going to solve issues. On the case of resources, he said that work stops at the table. He will be he would be responsible. They will get responsible people. But how do we know you are responsible? What can we see? We don't have any evidence about what he has been able to do for people. He has spoken to grassroots places. If you listen to his interviews, the question is, how do you really intend to do what you're saying? We can't see valid evidence. We can't really hold on to something that is tangible to say you can be able to do this thing. And you're not giving us step-by-step procedures on, okay, this is what I'm going to be able to do. This is how I'm going to be able to do it. So I think he really wasn't able to drive to the point what he really wanted to do or how he was really going to help us. Thank you.
Okay, first thing I want to say about Mr. I've forgotten his name, but the man has no vision. A person without vision cannot lead this country. He has no vision. That's why I deserve to forget his name. Now, I'll give you an example of this man's speech. You are asked that our certificates, how do we make them useful? Because many people come out from the universities and we discover that they don't get jobs. And then you are telling us you've discussed with some people outside the country on how you will create jobs for 300 million people. Basically, you are letting us know that our coming to school and leaving school with certificate is useless. Because none of the facts you mentioned, including cryptocurrency, was in any way related to what we came to study. Basically, you are telling us that our certificate is useless. You'd never answer that question. You came to the point of security and you're telling us that in 6 months that the Nigerian army can be able to deal with Boko Haram. That's what you told us, in 6 months. You didn't tell us how you, that as you are going to be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, how you will equip them. You're only telling us that they can do it. How are they going to do it? How? And you are telling us that you will just give an instruction and you make a law and it will just come into place. Like someone without a vision, it's a gospel truth. You cannot lead the country. And that's one thing I noticed about him. He has no vision. Thank you.
I think he probably didn't settle to study or know what he wants. Because now, from the first goals, that's electricity for all, he mentioned eliminating government monopoly from electricity. In the year 2022, government has virtually nothing to do with our electricity. It's already in the private sector and so this stuff here, I feel like it's just wrong. It could have worked if it was 2019 or 2018, but now we're in 2022. So I feel like this is wrong. Then at a point he was talking about constitutionalism and all. Then he said he wanted to amend the 1999 Constitution. What exactly do you want to amend in the 1999 Constitution? He didn't state it. Then some of his interviews that I settled down to watch, he does this, you ask him questions, he doesn't really go deep to give you the answer of, okay, this is your answer, this is it. He just skips and tells you stories of, okay, this, that, and that's just the end of it. So I feel like a lot is just wrong with what happened today and the way he displayed himself on national television.
My name is Grace Ibe from Department of International Relations. Okay, Mr. Prince Adewole has said he's laid down plans. And one problem I had with him while he was talking was whatever question that was given to him, he didn't really hit it at the nail at the head because he just adverted some questions and he didn't really go straight to the point. For example, unemployment, the issues that was given to him on unemployment, he didn't really say the strategies that he was going to use to solve the problem of unemployment. Yeah, he said about providing 30 million jobs, for which one of us said it is not a realistic approach. So for him saying providing 30 million jobs is not a problem. The issue now is, what are the strategies? Is it establishing industries or improving the market economy? Like, what areas does he want to use to achieving this problem, solving this problem? So I think a leader that has a plan but does not have a strategy in accomplishing that plan is just a mess. So I was not satisfied with what he said about it.
All right, thank you, Praise. But I think the government is still in charge of transmission. There are different segments when you come to power and electricity. So you have the distribution, that's the one they privatized, but the transmission segment is still well controlled by the government, and it's been facing a lot of challenges. So probably he was also talking about that. But it's good we're having this engagement, really. Please, can you give him the microphone?
I feel like all he's all about is talk and no work. There's a common Igbo proverb that I have to say it in English for easy translation. You don't use mouth to put fish in the soup. I feel like what he's trying to do is the same thing America did by putting space travel into the hands of SpaceX to reduce the pressure on NASA. But his goal of trying to put the money that is supposed to be percent to us in order to pay lecturers' school fees. So lecturers' salary, I mean. I feel like he's just trying to release governments, like their effect on the on the situation that is going on in all of our public universities. And I feel like that's the right thing to do, but I hope he puts it in the hand of trustworthy people. And to be honest, the sector that hits me the most is the power sector. How is it that the so-called giant of Africa, we have experienced several national grid shutdowns in 7 months? 39 in 7 months. Does that sound right? And even today, I didn't have the chance to iron my attire, as you can see, is unironed, which is quite shameful, given that in 2018 we invested 686.959 billion naira for electricity, and yet we got nothing. And this year, they approved the budget to be 239 billion naira for power and housing. Do we really expect to see an improvement in the power sector with less money that added to the development? All I can say is that he's just talking what he cannot do. He's talking the impossible.
Hey, you think he cannot do that? All right, so do you think or believe the candidate is the right person to be Nigeria's president? Let me hear from you, you who just finished speaking. Do you think he is the right candidate to be?
No.
All right, let's get to know your thoughts. We'll be rounding off on this segment very soon, hopefully.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Yeki David from Mass Communication. To add to what Soma said, I feel the points the man gave were not really appeasing, because first off, he doesn't live our daily life. I feel because their way of living is different from our way. They don't see life in Nigeria the same way we do. So they can't say what we are saying, and they don't feel what we are feeling. So I'm sure they don't know how we feel and what we want changed, because they can't see how we see things.
You obviously want a candidate that can feel what you're feeling and identify with your challenges. All right. Let's have the lady here, then we'll move over to the side.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Nia Barinuka from the Department of Biochemistry. One thing I found very dissatisfactory about his comments was that he mentioned nothing about diversification. He's basically pointing and looking at the same directions, giving the same problems without giving solutions to them. And the few of the questions where he was answering, when he talked about using Nigeria's human resources, like he talked about going on skill acquisitions, and then he talked about the sectors that he paid attention to when discussing with his colleagues. And they all felt like things that small institutions here in Nigeria are already doing. And it doesn't sound like he's doing anything different. Then in the aspect of diversification, it feels like he's also acting like the government we have now, looking for money that has been lost to collect and to hold on to. We are not really seeing anything tangible or any infrastructures or policies and implementations that he wants to make to actually incur good changes to the society. Then another thing was that he was avoiding basically all our questions. When we talked about mineral resources, he went on to blaming institutions that weren't doing their job instead of pointing out how they can do their jobs better and where his part will be, what part he will be playing in, and how us as Nigerians, we can also play part in helping him achieve his goals and visions for this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, do you believe he's a candidate, the right person for Nigeria to be president? What would you say to that?
Sadly, no. I don't believe he's the right candidate for Nigeria.
So, what will inform your choice of candidate?
Well, I believe my choice of Nigeria's presidential candidate should be someone who's willing to actually look at the issues, face the issues, and work to actually solving the issues that I am facing as a citizen.
Okay. We're coming to the front here. Let's have you.
Good evening. My name is Chinonyelum Ojenta from the Department of Maths and Computer Science. And I would like to point out that, to me, he was all back and no bite. The problems that were mentioned, he merely scratched the surface to give us a sense that he had answered our questions. Meanwhile, he just scratched the surface and then moved over to something different. He talked about not moving back to the old ways of farming in terms of food security and going over to mechanized farming. How would he make it a reality? To me, my choice of a president would be someone that has actually worked, someone that we can see what the person has done before, and we can measure it up. Someone that would be held accountable for all that he does. Someone that we can put our back on, saying that we know what we did, that the choice we made was the right one. And from what he showcased today, he's not one that is called out for something like that. That's my thought on all this.
My name is Divine Okeke from the Department of Sociology. So what I have to say about the candidate today is that he's not detailed and specific. And when he was asked about the girl early marriage, he was like, it's the culture. Then also there was a time he was asked if the Nigerians are not satisfied with the country, he was like, they can leave, which is not a good reply for somebody that wants to run for the seat of a president. I feel like you should give them reasons why they should stay back. Make them see why they should stay back in Nigeria. Nigeria is their country. So for me, he's not the right candidate.
All right, thank you very much. We have her. She has a question. Let's take the question from her.
Well, I have an opinion. Basically, what I think about these candidates, these presidential candidates, that he's living in a delusion. He's not straightforward, he's not clear, and he's avoiding questions, and he's not moving forward to the answer, to the solution. We're not looking for a leader that points out the problems. We know the problems. We're looking for someone who has the solution to the problems, and I don't think that's where he's heading to. He's just good at pointing out problems, but he's not there to the solution. So I don't think he's a good candidate for Nigeria, for our country.
Okay, thank you very much. Who will be your good candidate?
Well, someone that sees us, that knows the problem, that knows the solution, and is ready to fight for our solution, fight for the nation, someone that has the ability, someone that does not avoid questions, that wants to see your questions, that wants to know what the people communicates with the people, knows how to pinpoint all the solutions or something like that.
My name is Chimdiabere Ojinta from the Department of Biochemistry. So the problem I had with him, actually there are two problems. The first is that he could not give explicit explanations on how he would tackle the problems in Nigeria. And number two, I had an issue with the problem of migration. He said something about if you choose to leave Nigeria, then it requires something about therapy. And I don't think that was something appropriate to say concerning the issue of migration, because I don't think I want to have somebody as a president who doesn't respect the choice or who views someone who decides to leave Nigeria as, because those who require therapy are those who are probably emotionally unstable. So if you view someone who decides to leave the country, like, it should be the citizen's choice. And he also said something about not finding somebody who has decided to leave. That is also not true, because there are so many youths out there who are looking for opportunities, and they have seen places outside where they could find those opportunities. So believing that someone who wants to leave the country requires therapy, that is not something wonderful to say. And I don't think he's a capable candidate.
Was that at the point they were talking about seceding or migration? Which one?
Migration.
Migration.
Yes.
That he will give the person therapy.
He said something about needing therapy, and it's not something nice to say.
Okay. Because he also said something about seceding, that he would not encourage anyone to want to secede from Nigeria. Because it's like a marriage. I mean, if someone wants to leave you and maybe have a divorce, probably some things are not right. You're not happy. And he's saying he will try to find out why are you not happy and start addressing that issue. Did anyone hear him try to talk like that? Did anybody hear him try to talk like that? So he was trying to say he will find what the problem is and try to address the issue. That of course, if you love something, you don't want to be separated from it. Am I correct? So he's not in a hurry to agree to secession and allowing people leave. He will try to find therapy and try to find a solution. What exactly is the issue? Is it something I am doing? I can probably work towards stopping it and do it better. And maybe that is what's causing some level of unrest. So that if it's something that we are doing or the leaders are doing and they stop, the unrest might just also stop and you're happy. Most times you will not want to leave a place where you're happy and okay, right? So probably he's coming from that angle and direction as well. But these are your thoughts and opinion, and they are very much welcome. What we should also pay, attention to all of the candidates and hear where they are coming from and what they are saying. But so far, you people have really been quite impressive with your thoughts, and obviously you have been listening very, very well, really. We should be rounding off very soon, but I think we can take a few more thoughts before we round off on this segment, so we can go and then come back for another very engaging one tomorrow.
Good evening, everyone again. My name is Blessing Chimeze from the Department of Biochemistry. I would like to point out one particular thing that caught my attention. He was asked a question about leadership. It was a leadership question, but it was quoted. He was asked if he could die for his country that he was contesting to be the president. And he said, okay, let me not talk about what he said, but he diverted. He didn't answer that question. So I actually feel like he don't have the leadership trait. Ruling a nation like Nigeria takes a lot. Of course, in a layman's language, Nigeria is messed up. It would take somebody that has a lot of leadership, training, understanding. So I feel he's not the best candidate for this position, not because of any other thing, but for the fact that he can't die for our country. I can die for Nigeria,
You think so? Really a tough one, but this is where we'll come to the end of this segment. Thank you very much, Coal City University. Please, a round of applause for yourselves. A round of applause for yourselves. Day one of the candidates with Kadiri Ahmed. And thank you guys did a great job in listening and paying attention.